Hey everybody, welcome back to the YouTube channel. This is Stitch1993 here, and today we're doing a very special video because I just hit a very special milestone, for me at least, for my Nintendo Switch collection. So, as the video suggests, I've reached the 100 physical games. I own 100 physical Nintendo Switch games, and so today we're going to go over all 100. I'm going to give a little bit of insight, kind of like a mini review for almost every single one. We'll get to one of them, and then I'm just going to give my thoughts on the console itself, the 6 years it's been going on, and what I see in hopes for the future for the console. But you're probably here for the video game, so let's start off with that, and I'm going to go through them alphabetically. And so let's start. So the first game in my collection is America's Greatest Game Shows, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy! And I've got to agree with the box art. I'm pretty sure there's at least one person in every family that this is the game show that they either watch live or love to watch in reruns. And so this is actually a really decent version, I think, of both of these games. I've played a couple different versions of them in the past, mainly on the PS1 and PS2, and these are just the easiest to get into, the easiest to jump right into. So Wheel of Fortune, if you've been living on a rock for the past 60 years now, Wheel of Fortune is basically Hangman with money. You just spin the wheel, if it lands on a certain amount, you guess a letter, and if you get it right, you get that amount of money. If you don't, then you don't. Jeopardy is a quiz game show where they give you the answers is what it's built. So it'll be, and then you got to guess, the question. So, and you got to answer in the form of a question. So like, what is Greenville or something like that. But yeah, this is like a really cheap game. I wouldn't call it shovelware. I feel like shovelwares should be considered games that, like, they just put on the system, but don't really go and make sure that it runs well. So it's really janky and it has a lot of bugs and it's basically unplayable. That's what I consider shovelware. This I do not think you can buy it cheap though. I think it's like $10-15. But definitely grab this one. Atari 50, the anniversary celebration, done by Digital Eclipse, the same people that would do the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. And they put just as much love, if not more love, into this collection than they did the TMNT. Not only is there hundreds of Atari games spanning everything from the 2600 to all the way up to the Lynx and the Jaguar. And this is actually the first time we've gotten Lynx and Jaguar games on something other than those two consoles. So a little bit of everything for anyone for this game, including remakes of some of the old games, and there's an entire like almost documentary type of timeline that you can go through. They'll show posters, bits of old media, bits of old posters from the time. So if you're a big fan of Atari or just want to see where it all started, definitely check this game out. Baba Is You. I'm going to admit I bought this game mainly because of the box art. It's just really cute and I like the clay style. But it's a really fun game. It's really is, you're playing with words. So it's like, I guess it'd be kind of like old school programming, kind of blank equals blank. So like Baba Is You, that means you are the controller. You can switch that with anything and make it whatever. And each level is a puzzle. So if you're into puzzle games, especially ones that have like kind of a 8-bit style to them, definitely check this one out. Balan Wonderworld, and before anybody says what they're gonna say about this game, I'm gonna say something probably a bit controversial. I actually enjoyed this game. This was actually fun. Yes, it is rough around the edges. Yes, it could have used a bit more development time, but it's not broken. There isn't a whole bunch of bugs that are just basically breaking the game. And I feel like if Square Enix hadn't hyped this game up and it just kind of released out of nowhere, I feel like more people would have enjoyed it. It's a it's a very basic platformer. Yes, you only have maybe one or two buttons to use, and but there's a whole bunch of different costumes, and each one does something different, and it's got a little bit of a puzzle aspect to it. So you gotta make sure you go into levels with the right costumes so that you can collect all the collectibles, and sometimes you'll have to go back to them, which is I found fun. But yeah, there was nothing that made me like couldn't play this game. So and it's cheap. I don't think it was worth. I think they wanted like 50 or $60 at the time, but I think now it's like 20, 15. I think that's a perfect price for this game, and I'm sure if it had released at that price, it probably would have done better. Anyways, but speaking of buggy, janky games, Baldo the Guardian Owls, the Three Fairies edition, which is the physical edition that comes with the prequel DLC. Oh man, I remember being hyped for this game when it got trailers and everything, because it was like it's Legend of Zelda but with the art style of Studio Ghibli, which it did. If that's all you wanted, then yes, it did. It did do that, but man, this game does have some bugs. Even with all the updates they've done over the years since the original digital release and now with the physical release, I still found some bugs that I had to turn the game off and go back into it because I either fell somewhere I wasn't supposed to, or the game just paused for no reason, and I couldn't, no matter what buttons I pressed, it didn't want to do anything. So if you want this, I would definitely get this on a discount, and probably, go in with low expectations, and you probably won't get disappointed. Bendy and the Meat Machine. I got this one because the art style looked cool, and it always kind of interested me. I saw some videos of it on YouTube. I do like that age of animation that it's kind of harking back to, but the game itself, I don't know, it didn't do much for me. It excuse me, it felt more kind of like a walking simulator with some very, very light puzzles. It's more of just going from room to room, listening to tape recordings or reading papers to get the story. You may run into an enemy every once in a while, but yeah, there wasn't anything making me want to come back and replay it again. Beyond a Steel Sky, a sequel to a 30-year-old game, which I love. I just, if you haven't played the original, it's on Steam and GOG.com, called Under Steel Sky, I believe is the original one. But this is the direct sequel, and it picks up almost right after that game ends. And this is a fun point and click kind of a Telltale adventure game. It doesn't have like the multiple endings. It does have some different endings, but there's not like the multiple ones where the character's going to remember stuff. It's just a nice old school go talk to people, do the puzzles, pick this item up and bring it over here kind of point and click game, and yeah, really fun. Bug Fables: The Everlasting Sapling, one of my favorite current favorite Nintendo Switch games. I like to tell people this is my favorite Paper Mario game for the Switch because, I mean, just look at it. They really did do a great job of, especially the Paper Mario 64 style gameplay and art style. It just looks like it would have been made, in that same era. Great story, great gameplay. There's a whole bunch of stuff to do even after you finish the main story. A whole bunch of side quests, puzzles, other creatures to fight. There's a card game side quests in there that I loved playing. Definitely highly recommend checking this game out. Bugsnax, another one of my current favorite Nintendo Switch games. very Pokemon Snap meets HP Lovecraftian horror style gameplay. You go around first-person puzzle platformer, collecting the titular bug snacks, and all the while trying to figure out what happened on the island and to the other characters. And just the art style is great. It kind of gives me kind of a Muppet vibe to it. Yeah, highly recommend checking this one out. Burger Time Party. I got this because I really liked the original Burger Time game, and this was basically a remake of that, but with kind of the rubber hose 1920s, 1930s cartoon style, which fits perfectly with this type of game. And if you never played Burger Time, basically it's a side-scroller puzzle platformer where you go and you try to make sandwiches by running across the buns and everything without getting killed by the other food items that are trying to chase you. There is a party mode. There's a whole bunch of different levels, and you can play up to 4 players. You can even play against, like, one person or 2 people can be playing as the chef, and then some other people can be playing as the bad guys. So yeah, Carry On. It is The Thing as a Metroidvania game where you play as The Thing. That's all I'm going to say about that without spoiling anything else. It's fun, it's gory, and I had a really lot of fun with it. It's a really short game, I will say that. I think I finished it in maybe about 3 or 4 hours, if that, and that's with almost 100% completion. Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers Edition. So I bought this game because I needed a third game to purchase some other games from PlayAsia to get the free shipping. And this was the one that got recommended the most when I asked Reddit. And I actually really enjoyed this one more than the other 2 games that I bought. So it's a old school, RPG, and yeah, go and check it out. It's also got I think it's like a prequel to the game, which is just a straight up kind of visual novel text-based game too. I haven't checked that out yet, just because I'm really not into that genre, but it's nice for people that if you want to play that as well. I believe that game was Japanese exclusive, so they added that to this release. Chronos Before the Ashes. This was a really cool game. I really wish more games would do this type of gameplay. So what it is a action, got some RPG elements into it, but mainly it's a action adventure game. You're going around fighting monsters in medieval type of style, but it does have a very hard mode to it in regards to fighting. So you will die a lot, but every time you die, you age. So you start at age 18, and you can get up to like age 90. And so when you're young, you can be more agile and use a lot more melee attacks, more physical attacks. But when you're older, you've got to get better with the magic abilities as well. And your character actually does physically age. You'll start getting taller. It'll start getting, thinner, more frailer. Gray hairs will start growing. And you can pick from male or female character. And yeah, creature design was really cool. It gave me some kind of labyrinth type of style vibes to it. Definitely check that one out. Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics. This is like my favorite Nintendo Switch game. I'm not even going to lie. This is just whether you're trying to kill 2 minutes or 2 hours, this is the game to do it right here. You've got a whole bunch of, you've got card games, you've got arcade style games, you've got board games, all in this one little package here. And you can play up to 4 players with most of the games. So, yeah, it's a good time killer. I've played this while I'm waiting at the doctor's office, going to the bathroom, just killing time, waiting for, other games to update. I'll just pop this in, play a game or two and have a blast. I think I've put in maybe 300 or 400 hours into this game, if I'm honest. Definitely, highly recommend getting this one. Collection of Mana. So this was another one I got because the box art and because I had never gotten into the Mana series. And it was cool because this was like the first time we were getting trails of Mana, because that was a Japanese exclusive game. And I'm going to be honest, I did not get into the gameplay style. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's the graphics. I don't know if it's the gameplay. I've tried all three of these, and it just didn't click with me. I don't know. After a couple hours of playing each one, I was like, okay, well, it's really pretty games. I'm not going to say they're bad looking. So I don't know. You guys tell me what your thoughts are on these games. I know there's some super huge fans out there, but yeah, really pretty box art though. Call of Cthulhu. So this, I just really like H.P. Lovecraft horror, and I played the Call of Cthulhu game for the Xbox back when that game, and this is not that. This is just its own take on the Call of Cthulhu story and mythos, and it was okay. Graphics are fine. It's kind of one of those walking simulators. There is a bit of action. There are some monsters, but you don't go around killing stuff. You mainly try to run away and I can't even remember if I'm sure there are, but I can't remember if there was puzzles in this game, to be honest. I just remember like going around talking to people and reading notes. So yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend this one or not. The Cruel King and the Great Hero. Oh man, this was a pretty game. It is just a straight up RPG. I want to say kind of like Paper Mario because it has that kind of hand-drawn style to it, but it's not like Paper Mario. It's more just regular RPG style to it, but it does have some hints of the Paper Mario style in it. Great story, and it's another game where after you finish the main story, you still have got a lot of after credits gameplay. There's more of the map opens up. You've got a whole bunch of side quests. You could spend hours just doing the side quests in this game. I'm honest. But yeah, really fun, really cute game. Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance Tactics. If you like tactics games, or if you like The Dark Crystal, this is a game for you. If you don't like either one of those, just skip it. Yeah, I picked this up because I like both of them. I really like the show, but of course I love the movie. And then I really like tactics games, and this was just like, they made this game just for me, I felt like. And yeah, it just plays just like a regular tactics game, but with Dark Crystal from the show, which is most of the same characters than the movie. So yeah, and you go around fighting all the enemies you'd fight in the movie and television show. Fun game. Deadly Premonition Origins. So I got this one because they announced the sequel, and then I never picked up the sequel because this was just a really weird game. Think Twin Peaks meets Resident Evil. If that even interests you just a little bit, you'll have fun. But if it doesn't, or if you've never even heard Twin Peaks, I would just give this one a pass. It's got a really weird story, really weird characters. The graphics, this was a port of like a 360 game, and even at that time, people were like, these graphics don't look that good. And yeah, no, I believe that was supposed to be on purpose, as to why it's just kind of with the quote-unquote charm. But yeah, it is something though. It's definitely one for the books. Death's Door. I just recently got done playing this game, and this was another really pretty game. It does have a bit of a difficulty curve to it. You really only have The 4 life hits, you can, if you find all the secrets, you can unlock a 5th life hit. But yeah, it was it's one of those kind of really hard games. I don't like saying Dark Souls because there were games before Dark Souls. It's just really hard. But you'll get used to it. You get used to the timing of everything. You will die a lot though. Um, so yeah, just be ready for that. Destiny Connect TikTok Travelers. I really enjoyed this game only because it felt like I was playing a sequel to a GameCube game called Cubix Robots for Everyone Showdown. There'll be a video coming out in a couple months, me reviewing that game. But just in case you don't know, Cubix Robots for Everyone is a television show that's about robots, and this one it's yeah, the whole town has robots in it, and so the game is the same way. Whole town has robots. Some of the robots go haywire, and you gotta fight them in RPG style. And I love all the designs; they're really cute. They kind of play on just what you'd see around the house. There's a time travel story to it, so you go into the future and the past and present, and overall, just a really charming game. Doom, aka Doom 2016. It's Doom. If you don't know what Doom is, it's a first-person shooter game where you go to hell and you kill demons. If that doesn't interest you, I don't know what will. Yeah, you just you can bash their skulls in, shoot them up. I think in this one you've got a chainsaw you can use, and yeah, it's Doom. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. So I never played any Elder Scrolls games. So I never played any of the Elder Scrolls games growing up. It just wasn't in my zeitgeist. None of my friends talked about it up until 5 came out. And, everybody's like, oh, this is a really great game, really open world. You can really go anywhere, do anything, fight dragons, do all this sort of stuff. And I thought that was really cool. And then Breath of the Wild came out, and I played that first. And so when I finally got around to playing this, it felt very limited. Like, oh, you can go here, but you've got to take this specific path to get here. You can't just climb this. You can't just do this or that and experiment and do all this stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I understand that it was a great game for its time, but other games have come out by now that just kind of overshadow it, I feel like. So I know some people are going to be in the comments, you can't compare the two, but that's what I'm doing. So, yeah. Fatal Frame, Maiden of the Black Water. This was really fun, but at the same time, I was kind of disappointed with it, and I'll tell you why really quick. So, I grew up with the original 3 on the PlayStation 2, and from what I remember, it was kind of just one big whole mansion house that you were exploring a la Resident Evil style, where it's like, if a door was locked, you had to go and find a key, or you had to, do a small puzzle, and, every once in a while there'd be a ghost. You'd have to take pictures of them to kill them. And you had to make sure you didn't do that too often because you would run out of ammo, aka film, in this game. Whereas in this one, it's cut up into chapters. And they give you so much ammo and health and everything that it just, you didn't feel trapped. You just felt like, oh, okay, here's another monster to take the picture. All right, let's keep going, and rinse and repeat. And so, I mean, I finished it, but I didn't ever get like scared, like, oh no, do I fight this or do I run? Oh, I got to get past that. Oh, let me go back here. No. It's just straightforward. Go here, get this, do that. You have a tiny little bit of puzzles to do, but it's more so just make a beeline to this area here, and then that's the end of the chapter. So yeah, I don't know. Fire Emblem Three Houses. This was a really fun Fire Emblem game. I know some people didn't really like the dating simulator port of the game. I didn't mind. kind of broke up the game a little bit, so you weren't doing battle after battle. But it was cool. I had fun. Golf story. So I grew up with a bunch of the 16-bit type of Tiger Woods golf tournament games and the Game Boy games, and this felt just right in there. Like if this had been released on the Game Boy Advance, I would have picked this up in a minute. It's the same type of game. You play golf. It's got some RPG story elements to it, kind of like the Mario Golf games for the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance. Yeah, it's golf. So have fun with that. Hasbro Game Night. This again is not shovelware. This is actually a really good port of Monopoly, Risk, and Trivial Pursuit Live. We'll start with Monopoly. You've got boards. You can unlock tokens. You've got a whole bunch of different boards to play, from the regular board, a Rabbids board, these real city, which it's like a 3D city kind of board. And yeah, it plays like Monopoly. You've got all the rules. You can change them, mix and match them how you want them. You can even play some other game forms that I've never played those, but some people do. And then you've got Trivial Pursuit Live, which is just really fun. It's really fun partying, kind of like Jeopardy, but Jeopardy if it was a board game. And then of course there's Risk, which Risk was the only one I was like, I wish they could have done more with it, because there's really only the one board. I wish there was more boards you could play with, but it's still fun. It's still Risk. And this is one where you can probably find it for like $10-15 and grab it. A Hat in Time. So this was a fun 3D platformer with Wind Waker cel-shaded vibes to it, art style. The only thing I didn't like was it had some really long load times, and it didn't show any sort of indication that it was loading, so you just be staring at a screen and you're like hoping that it didn't freeze on you. So yeah, but otherwise it's a really fun game, and the physical version came with like a download code for the DLC, so that's cool. Heaven Dust Collection. So this is the one that I haven't played yet, so the footage you're watching is just footage from the trailer. Released by Super Rare Games just recently. So yeah, I haven't played it yet. It looks fun. It looks like kind of a chibi style Resident Evil type of games, which I love Resident Evil, so I had to pick this up. But yeah, so I might do a review of this game in the future. Who knows? Hoa. H-O-A. Hoa. This is a really pretty game. It's very simple, very short. I think I finished this in maybe 2 hours. And it is just an absolutely adorable game. There's no fighting. You just platforming and solving some puzzles, all with this almost watercolor, hand-drawn art style, very reminiscent of Studio Ghibli. Highly recommend checking this one out. And I believe it's only like $30, which honestly, for this type of game, definitely is worth that price tag. Hot Wheels Unleashed. This is like hands down one of my favorite racing games of all time, and yes, that's including the Mario Kart series. It fuses two of my favorite things: track building and toy cars. So you've got the track editor, which is very reminiscent of the Trackmania style track editor, where you can kind of do all types of twists and turns and jumps. And then the race cars, which are actual modeled after Hot Wheel toys. They're not like real cars. They're the Hot Wheel car toys. So you've got ones like Snoopy and the Batmobile, the DeLorean. There's a whole bunch of DLC that came out for a whole bunch of other different Hasbro lines and Warner Brother lines. But yeah, this is just a really fun racing game. I will say the only thing is, if you're really into Mario Kart, is a little bit of a learning curve of learning how to drift in this game, because it's done a little bit differently than Mario Kart. But once you get it down, then you'll just be able to do it without even thinking about it. It's really fun. definitely recommend getting this one. Immortals Fenyx Rising. I'm going to say another thing that's probably controversial. I like this game more than Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I don't know why. I think it's just it's a bit more smaller of a map, but there's a lot more stuff to do in it. There's a lot more creatures to fight, puzzles to do. I really like the art style, and I just really like Greek mythology. And this is basically Breath of the Wild with Greek mythology as its motif. And it's really fun. And yeah, it's in my top 10 games and probably will stay there. Yeah, it'll do 2+. So this was a game I got because this was like early on in the Switch's life where there wasn't a lot to choose from, and I was just I've already played all the games that had been released for it. So this came along and I was like, well, this looks cute, and I like some of the other games made by this company, especially the Card Game City ones. So this is a top-down Legend of Zelda style game. It's fun. My only issue is it takes more from like the early ones, so there's a lot of like guesswork as to where you're supposed to go. The map isn't the most intuitive. You will get lost, or at least I got lost a lot in this game. So yeah, take that as you will, but it is fun. Yeah. Journey to the Savage Planet. Okay, so all you Metroid Prime people out there, if you finish Metroid Prime Remastered and you still want something to get you till either we get Metroid Prime 2 Remastered or Metroid Prime 4, get this game, because this is just the closest thing we've got to it on the Switch, and this is what was tying me over until the remaster came out. And it is funny. It is... It does not play it straight. You are abandoned on a planet, and you've got that Metroidvania style of going back and forth and upgrading and getting items, so you can go further on into the planet and do stuff. But it's all done tongue in cheek. There's gags, there's fart jokes, there's it's I'm not going to give any more away, but it is a really fun and really funny game. Just Dance 2020. I got this game because COVID was a thing and I needed to exercise. If you played one of them, you've played them all. You just pick one that has the songs you like, and then you just keep that one. You don't need every single one of these. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I don't know if this is going to be recency bias or not, but this is probably my favorite Kirby game ever. They did when this is Kirby's first game as a 3D platformer, and they did it perfectly, and I hope they do more because this was so fun. I 100% of this game, and it actually was a bit hard. I actually died a good couple of times on some bosses, so yeah, you definitely got to get this one. Speaking of Kirby Star Allies. I don't know why everybody hated this. I actually really enjoyed this one too. I just remember that after the game released, there was a lot of negativity about it being short, not being a bunch of stuff after game. I was like, well, that's kind of a Kirby game for you. But I played it and I really enjoyed it. And it kind of was like, for me, it felt like, okay, there was a canceled Kirby game for the GameCube, and like everybody says Return to Dreamland was what that game eventually became. I don't think it was. I think Kirby Star Allies is what that game eventually became, because in that one, it showed that you had 4 other creatures with you helping fight along the way, which you didn't have in Return to Dreamland from what I remember. But you do in this one. You've got the ability to befriend the enemies, and so they can come along with you and help you fight. So I was over the moon when that was shown off in this game. I was like, yes, we're finally getting this game that got canceled 20 years ago. Yeah, and there's been a whole bunch of updates since then, and this game has a whole bunch of after-game content now, so I don't think anybody should be complaining. Klonoa Phantasy Reverie series. I got this game because I didn't want to pay $100+ for the PS1 Klonoa game. Uh, Klonoa, if you don't know what it is, it's a 2.5D platformers, side-scrolling game series. The first one was on the PS1, the second one was on the PS2. They both kind of got a little bit of a HD remaster for this collection, and they're really fun games. They're really semi-short kind of games. The only issue I really had is I wish they included the Game Boy Advance games along with the PS1 and PS2, but I digress. This is a good collection, and you should definitely check these games out. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. I love this art style. Nintendo needs to do more games with this claymation art style. I want to see a Yoshi game like this. I want to see a Kirby game like this. Not in the. I know Kirby's had a clay game before. I wanted to see Kirby in this type of gameplay style as well. And of course, everybody's been saying it. This should be, if these should remake the Mother series, like the whole trilogy, or at least Mother, or Earthbound, or Mother 3, whichever one, in this art style. It'll be great. Yeah, it's a remake of Link's Awakening, and it is just perfect from top to bottom, gameplay, story, art, everything. Lego City Undercover. This is my favorite Lego game, mainly because it reminds me of Lego Island Extreme Stunts, which was a computer / PS2 game back then. Open world type game where you went around doing different missions, unlocking stuff, using bricks, building stuff. And this game is just like that, only in Island Extreme Stunts, you were a stunt worker for movies. In this one, you're a police detective, but it's still fun. You still got a whole world to explore. You've got a whole bunch of costumes to unlock. And on top of that, it's a Lego game. So if you haven't played a Lego game, this is the one to start with, honestly. Lego The Incredibles. Again, another really good Lego game. I don't think there's many bad Lego games, honestly, but this is really one of the better ones, in my opinion. And I love it because not only is it for The Incredibles, and you got all these other superheroes you can unlock, but they put in the time to put Easter eggs to all of Pixar's other characters. So you've got Woody, you've got Luxor, you've got Wally, and you've got stuff like Pizza Planet going around. And yeah, and at the same time, you've got, the Lego gameplay style that we've all come to love and enjoy. I really wish Disney would do, or Lego would do another Pixar Lego game, because, we've got enough Toy Story games to at least make one of these now. So, or at least, we got enough Toy Story movies to make one of these now, so come on. Little Nightmares Complete Edition. So this was a UK exclusive physical release, and it is just kind of a horror platforming game. That's what I'm gonna call it. You can just kind of go from room to room, trying not to die. It's got a really dark style going on, really grotesque creatures. One issue I had with it is sometimes, because of the way the camera is angled, sometimes you can't really tell where you're about to jump, so there's a lot of cheap deaths in it, and that was my only issue. But overall, really fun game. Live Alive. Live Alive. Live Alive. Either way, this is really fun. 2D HD remake of a Japan exclusive SNES game. And interesting enough, when Octopath Traveler came out, I played the demo and I just could not get into it. But I played the demo for this and I immediately got sucked in. So if you didn't like Octopath Traveler, this is a game you should check out. Or if you liked Octopath Traveler, I feel like you would also enjoy this, because Octopath took a lot of the ideas from this game and just kind of built on top of them. But this kind of brings it down to the basic bare bones. And so, yeah, really fun. Luigi's Mansion 3. For me, my opinion, it's not as good as the first one, but it's better than Dark Moon. It's still kind of segmented, as in the levels, but it's not mission based anymore. So yeah, still really fun, charming Luigi's Mansion game, and definitely one you should check out. Lumo. So this was another one that I got way early on in the Nintendo Switch lifetime. I think this was maybe my fourth or fifth game I got. Just because the gameplay looked interesting. It's an isometric 3D platformer, but it's got some weird controls. And I've gotten to a point in the game where I can't get any further because the controls are just kind of a little too janky to where I can't platform correctly, unfortunately. But I did get pretty far in the game, and who knows, I might look up a gameplay a walkthrough later to try to figure out how to get past this level. But overall, it's really enjoyable. Maneater. This was another one where you get to play as the bad guy. You get to play as a shark, which I guess I wouldn't say sharks are bad guys. They're just kind of, they're just natural predators. But this one, you do a bit more than what a usual shark would probably do. So you go around and just eat. You start out eating fish. You start out as a very small shark, but you turn into what you see on the screen here. And you can eat ships and crocodiles and humans, and you can just cause mayhem. It's a little bit open world slash. It's got some RPG elements to it, and then also some Metroid elements to it. Like there's parts of the game where you can't get past until you get upgrades, and the way you get upgrades is by eating and killing more. So the more you kill, the more you eat, the more you can progress in the game. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's Mario Kart 8. It's the best Mario Kart game to date. And they're still releasing DLC. They're still releasing tracks. And just now we started getting more characters for this game. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to stop doing stuff with this game for a long time. We've got the current DLC packs up through the end of this year. And then there's rumors that a second wave is going to start after that, which probably will add more characters. So I'm all for it. And yeah, Mario Party Superstars. I really enjoyed this one. I like the other one better. This one does have more maps and more mini games, I guess, but it took away some of the other stuff that you took away co-op playing for when you're with maps. So you could only play against other people. You couldn't play on the same team, unfortunately. So it took away the buddy system that Super Mario Party had. But overall, it's a fun one. It's nice to trip down nostalgia lane because it's got a bunch of the N64 levels to it and games from all the past iterations of Mario Party. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. This was a really fun tactics RPG game where you play as Mario and you play as the rabbits and you go around killing other rabbits and Mario characters. Yeah. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order. So I never played the other two Ultimate Alliance games, I'm going to be honest. But it was just cool that Nintendo published this one. Plus it had characters like Deadpool in there and Blade. So I thought that was neat. I don't know if the other two had them in there. But yeah, it has a wide array of Marvel characters and just a nice, fun hack and slash game where you get to go around playing with Hulk and Deadpool. Metro Redux. This has the first two Metro games in it, which are both based off of, I believe, Russian books that are horror style books. So these are horror first-person shooter games. And these games are dark, and I don't mean like they're really like dark in content. I mean they are dark, like especially if you're like playing in handheld mode. Even with the brightness all the way up, sometimes I could not see where I was going, what I was doing. It got a little bit better in the sequel, but still, it's a lot. You probably should be best playing these in docked mode. Metroid Dread, man, this was something else when this got announced. Because Dread, just to give you a quick little history note, Metroid Dread technically got announced all the way back during the Nintendo Wii, Nintendo DS days, and then got quietly canceled. And then all of a sudden, E3 2021, it got announced, and it was coming out in October, and it was awesome. And yeah, it's a direct sequel to Metroid Fusion. So this is Metroid Dread is Metroid 5. So for those who don't know how it goes, Metroid Prime is its own thing. But the main Metroid games go Metroid, Metroid 2, Samus Returns, Super Metroid, aka Metroid 3, Metroid Fusion, which was Game Boy Advance, and then Metroid Dread, which is Metroid 5. And this story-wise, it starts right after Fusion ends. And now with Fusion being on the Game Boy Advance through the Nintendo Switch Online, you can play the entire main Metroid series from beginning to end, which I think is really cool. Speaking of Metroid Prime Remastered. At first I was like, okay, it's just Metroid Prime again. And then I saw a side-by-side gameplay trailer to show what the GameCube version looked like versus what the Switch version looks like, and I was blown away of how graphically updated this game was, because I was like looking at the remastered and thinking, oh, that didn't look that bad. And then they showed the GameCube version. I'm like, oh, okay, no, it used to look not a lot worse. It just, my imagination was really good to where the remastered is how I originally envisioned what the GameCube version looked like in my head, I guess. So just the brain filling in all those little details, which are now in their Metroid Prime. And yeah, it's Metroid as a first-person shooter. You still got all the things where you got to do a bunch of backtracking and getting all the power-ups just like you would in a regular side-scrolling Metroid game. So definitely check it out. A Monster's Expedition plus Earlier Adventures. This is just a fun little collection of puzzle games. Most of them are kind of just those little move the boxes in the right way to proceed to the next level. It's done in 3 different ways. You've got the regular Monster's Expedition, which is you pushing around trees and logs. And then you've got Snowmen, which is kind of the same thing, but building snowmen. You've got Sokoban, which is a puzzle game where you build the elements of the elemental table. And I think that's the coolest, probably the most educational game that I have on the Switch. And then, of course, you've got the train one, which is just getting creatures from their stop to their little box. So overall, if any of those interest you, pick up this collection. New Pokemon Snap. Man, I was so excited when this game got announced, because I grew up with the original Pokemon Snap, and it's still one of my favorite N64 games. And this blows that game out of the water, both as in content, because this has so many levels, so many different ways you can go on the track, as well as Pokemon. Oh my goodness. I think the original had maybe like 80 Pokemon, and this has something like 200 or 300 Pokemon, which, yeah, not a lot when there's like 1,000 Pokemon, but still, that is a good bit of Pokemon to take pictures of. And yeah, it's just, if you've never played Pokemon Snap, you're on a set track, but you've got free movement to look around almost 360, I believe, full view. And you just go around taking pictures of Pokemon. And yeah, it sounds boring, but it's like so thrilling because you can like watch them be in their own little natural habitat. It's so cool. Nexomon Extinction. So I actually really like this game a bit more than some more recent Pokemon games. It's just, I mean, the designs are so much cooler. Like, I don't know what's up with Pokemon right now. I'm not saying that they've lost their touch. I'm just saying that they can do better. And this proves that there are creative people out there that know how to take that type of Pokemon style and, make their own out of it. And this, I really enjoyed this more than Pokemon Sword and Shield. And don't even get me started on some of the other games, but we'll talk about them in a little bit. Still, definitely check this one out. Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 Grand Prix. So there's 3 Nickelodeon Kart Racers for the Switch. First one had like 9 characters and just like a handful of levels. Skip that one. The third one that just came out last year took away some characters and added some new ones from 2, as well as I think added some more levels. But some of the cooler characters are just DLC exclusive, so I don't know. 2 is probably the perfect one. It's got like so many characters from so many cartoons, both present and ones that people from the 90s grew up on, as well as you can do a whole bunch of customization for the karts, as well as you've got tracks from all the cartoons and even some of the game shows. So definitely, if you want something that and you're tired of Mario Kart, get Nickelodeon Kart Racers. Oddworld Stranger's Wrath HD. So I picked this one up because my Xbox version broke. Like, it can't be played anymore. So I picked this up, and I remember why I didn't play it so much to begin with. It's interesting. It's a first-person / third-person platformer game. Yeah, it's really hard to explain, but there's parts where you'll be in the first-person view and other parts where you'll be in the third-person view, going around killing bad guys with this really weird gun. But it gets really monotonous really fast. Like, it's the same going to the new town, go kill the bad guys, kill the boss, rinse and repeat. There's not much variety in gameplay wise. Ooblets. This jumped up to one of my favorite games as soon as I played it, because yeah, it's got a bit of farming simulation in there, but that's not the main part of the game. The main part is collecting little creatures called ooblets, and the way you collect them is instead of fighting them, you have dance battles with them, and it is just adorable. All the creatures are just adorable. They kind of remind me of like the little wind-up toys from How the Grinch Stole Christmas, especially the fish with legs. But yeah, it's just a really charming game. Yeah, there's some farming to it, but I would probably say this is a mix of Pokemon meets Animal Crossing, but probably more more Pokemon than Animal Crossing. Ori and the Blind Forest. This is just a really pretty Metroidvania type of game. I haven't played the sequel, and I believe there's a third one that just got announced, or that's currently in development. But yeah, out of all the Metroidvania type of games out there, this is probably one of the better ones to play. It was originally a Microsoft exclusive, and it's published by Microsoft. So it's really interesting seeing this Microsoft game on a Nintendo platform. Pac-Man Museum Plus. Man, I was so excited when this game got announced because it included my favorite Pac-Man game of all time, Pac Attack, which is Pac-Man plus Tetris. And just really any game that's blank plus Tetris, I will play, but especially Pac-Man plus Tetris. Yeah, you've got the original Pac-Man game, you've got some of the other games from previous arcades, and some of the ones from like the DS and mobile as well on here. Basically a good nice collection of Pac-Man games all around. Pixel Puzzle Pack 3-in-1. So it says 3-in-1, but there's really only 2 games plus DLC for one of them. So you've got Pixel Lines, which is Basically kind of a paint by numbers puzzle game where it will tell you what color to use, but in what number, but you've got to figure out in what shape it's supposed to go. You can't just fill it in. You gotta do some thinking to it. And then the other one is Pixel Colors, which is just a Picross game but with colors. And then of course the third one is DLC for Pixel Lines. This was, I believe this is like a Japanese exclusive for the physical, but you can get the games digitally, no problem. Pikmin 3 Deluxe. It's Pikmin. It's on the Switch. If you've never played Pikmin before, the best thing I can describe for you is Nintendo's take on the real-time strategy game with really cute aliens and fruit. And it's really colorful. And you should go check out like Arlo's videos because he does a really better job of explaining all that. I'm really excited for Pikmin 4 though. Poison Control Contaminated Edition. So I picked this one up because reviews at the time and videos were saying this plays like Mega Man Legends. This is like a Mega Man Legends type of game. And like, yeah, it kind of is, but at the same time, it's not. It's just more of like a third-person shooter type of game. The pink-purple color, that never goes away. That's in every level. So if this hurts your eyes, don't pick this up because this is what every level looks like, is this color right here. Pokemon Legends Arceus. So this is actually one of my other favorite Pokemon games for the Switch. I know I was kind of bad smack talking at Pokemon earlier, but this was a really fun. This is probably the closest we're going to get to an actual open world type of Pokemon game. And this had a lot of cool, interesting ideas that it doesn't seem like they are implementing in the future ones. Like, you don't have to fight to catch the monsters. You can just kind of sneak around and throw Pokeballs and catch them that way. And it's a lot like Breath of the Wild where you can climb anywhere, fly anywhere, and just go anywhere. And on top of that, it's got some of the you got a whole bunch of Pokemon from past games. I think there's a couple exclusive, but most, I want to say like 99% of the Pokemon are from previous games, mainly from the Diamond and Pearl games. I don't ask. I don't remember what region. I think it's Johto. I don't remember. But either way, this was a really fun Pokemon game. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. So I really like this game, but at the same time, I really don't. I really like this game because it's a nice remake of Pokemon Yellow. And if you're playing in handheld, it's great. And I also like seeing the Pokemon, so I'm not like just walking and then all of a sudden there's another Pokemon I've got to fight. You can see them, so if you want to, you can avoid the Pokemon. And then you don't fight the Pokemon to catch them, you just kind of toss the Pokeball. However, if you're playing in docked, you have to use the motion controls for catching, and I just could never get the hang of it. So anytime I wanted to play this game, I played it in docked mode. If they ever make like a sequel to this, like if they do a Let's Go Silver and Gold, I really hope they get rid of the motion control portion and just let me press the button to catch the Pokemon. Because yeah, that was fun. It's a really pretty game. It's done really well. It's just that one thing just kind of makes or breaks the game for me, depending on how I'm playing it. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. So this is a really cute kind of storybook style remake of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Team, Blue Team. That was the Game Boy Advance and DS split game, which I grew up on. So this was just nostalgic for me replaying these games. Has a lot of after game content too. So after you finish the story, there's still more side quests to do, still more places to explore, and it's a mystery dungeon game. So you've got 3 Pokemon. You go through these dungeons. You got a little map. And I think every dungeon is automatically generated, so you won't have the same game twice, possibly. But overall, yeah, really fun. Pokemon Sword. So I got this because it was the first new Pokemon game on the Switch, and it's pretty. That's about all I can say. It's got some interesting Pokemon designs to it, and yeah, it's a Pokemon game. It's okay. Prinny 1 and 2 Exploded and Reloaded. So I picked these up because I really wanted these games back when they were PlayStation Portable games, PSP games. And as soon as they announced that they were porting these games over, and they were porting both of them over, I was so happy. And then I started playing them, and I was like, oh, this is why they didn't do so well. So they're 2D side scrollers. They're really, really hard, and you will die a lot. And that is part of the gameplay style. It's supposed to be hard. You're supposed to die a lot. But I just don't have the patience for that anymore. I get really frustrated in those type of games. So, like, I never finished the first one, and I didn't play the second one. So I'm just, my thoughts are just based off of what I played for Prinny 1. If that entices you, if the gameplay looks cool. But, yeah, and they're not the best when it comes to 2D platformers either. Yeah. Puyo Puyo Tetris. What did I say where it was anything plus Tetris? Puyo Puyo was another one. So it's Puyo Puyo, which is kind of a match 3 colors thing, close to like Tetris, mixed with Tetris. You've got a story mode, but you also got you can play Tetris mode, you can play Puyo Puyo mode, or you can play a mixture of the two, where all the pieces coming down are both Puyo Puyo pieces and Tetris pieces, and it's probably just one of the more fun Tetris games there is on the Switch. Rayman Legends Definitive Edition. This is the second game in this style of hand-drawn animated Rayman games. And this one has a really I won't get into it, but this one has a really interesting history of being on Nintendo consoles. But this is the best version. It also includes levels, I think almost the entire game of the first Rayman game on here too. So it's got Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends on here, plus a whole bunch of other side games. I mean, this game is chock full of games. Rhyme. Alrighty, so this was one of the earliest games I got for the Switch. This probably was like my third or fourth game I got, and this is a really pretty game. I think this was, I want to say this was like originally announced as like I want to say like a PlayStation exclusive game, but something happened, and then it got announced for all the consoles. And so this came to the Switch, and wow, yeah. I won't get into the story because there are spoilers, but it's a really, really interesting story. I'll leave it at that. You go around exploring this island, and just climbing. It's not open world. It's free to explore to a limit. And you've got puzzles you can unlock, and there's other stuff you can pick up along the way. I think the story changes slightly depending on what percentage you complete with. But overall, this is a really, really nice, cute game. Ring Fit Adventure. This was another game that I got because of COVID, and I needed to exercise. You're watching trailer gameplay because my the titular Ring Fit device is now in storage, and so it wouldn't let me get past the connection screen. So, but yeah, it's exercising meets platforming RPG. So yeah. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. This is a really interesting game. So it's part farming simulator, part action adventure side scroller and RPG on top of that. It's a whole bunch of genres mixed into one, and it does both very well. You and the work hand in hand. So you farm to make goods so that you can use power-ups so that when you go to the side scrolling portions, you're really strong, and you're going into the side scrolling portions to find better things to cook with and to farm with. Scully, don't buy this game. This is a bad game. What you're seeing is where I've been stuck on this game. It is Monkey Ball if the ball was the size of a pea. So the controls are really janky. The physics are really janky, and just the overall. Just don't skip this one. This is the one game I regret owning. Don't get it. Snipper Clips Plus. Cut it out together. This is a really fun game. So this was, I believe, a launch title, digitally at first, but then later on down the line, Nintendo released this physically, and it included more levels and more gameplay styles and stuff. You can play with up to 4 players, and you play as these 2 little pieces of paper, trying to complete these puzzles, and you can clip each other, cut pieces out of each other to complete the puzzles. Sonic Mania Plus. Man, this was a really fun Sonic game. This was also, it wasn't my first Sonic game I played. Like I played, 1, 2, 3, all the other ones before, but this was the first one I ever finished, surprisingly. And the Plus version includes 2 additional characters to play as. I believe they were like DLC characters, but the physical version included them as well. And of course, you can play as Sonic and Tails and Knuckles also. So yeah, if you haven't played a 2D Sonic game, this is a good place to start. South Park: The Fractured But Whole. Yeah, it's South Park. If you don't like that type of humor, you will not like this game. But if you do, this is a really fun RPG. And I think they also released the first one as well, as a digital only game, but the sequel you can get as a physical. SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. So I have a love-hate relationship with this game. I love it because it's, well, 1, it's SpongeBob and he's just charming, and 2, it's a really fun, really, sharp platformer. But at least for the Switch version, there is a bug. I don't know if they ever fixed it, but they didn't have a patch when I bought it because I pre-ordered the game. And so about 2.5 hours into the game, the screen went black. I could hear myself jumping around and stuff, but I couldn't see anything. So I turned it off, turned the game back on, went to my save file, and it would not load the save file. I would click on it, it would act as if it was loading it, and then would go back to the screen. And I haven't picked up this game since because that was so much time wasted, so much time lost, that it just killed all enjoyment for me for this game. I don't know if they've patched the game yet, so buyer beware when getting this game. Starlink Battle for Atlas. I'm going to be honest, I only bought this game because I wanted that R-Wing model that it came with. That is the only reason I bought this game. This game is fine. It's kind of like an open world shooter Star Fox game with the Star Fox characters. The Star Fox, this game did release for other consoles, but the Star Fox portion is, of course, Nintendo Switch exclusive. So if you got the big box, it came with the game and an R-Wing in a Fox McCloud figure. But it kind of got boring pretty fast. I never finished the game. So, because it was just a lot, and I'm just not really into this type of game, anyways. So, yeah. Star Renegades. This was a really interesting game. So it's an RPG where you will die a lot, but you're supposed to die a lot because you continue to keep any experience points, so that every time you go back and play it, you get a little bit further until finally you get far enough that you can defeat the final boss. And it's got this future Star Wars type of vibe to it. You can unlock more characters the more you play. So you've got robots, you've got human characters, you got aliens you can choose from. And then once you finish it, then I believe whatever main character you chose from, then that becomes the next villain, and then you got to defeat them. So it has longevity to it. You can get a good 30 to 50 hours out of this game, if not more, depending on how much you want to play it. Super Bomberman R. So this was one of two Switch games that I got for it as my first Nintendo Switch games. It was this and Super Mario Odyssey, and I got Super Bomberman R because I've just always really enjoyed the Bomberman series, especially the N64 style, and this kind of went back to the original style gameplay from it to where it's like top-down view. You're going through each level, defeating the bad guys, getting to the end. Of course, there is a versus mode, and Konami added a bunch of characters to this. Like, it's still Bomberman in look, but it's got a bunch of costumes. So, like, other Konami series get represented in Bomberman form. It's just so cool. Super Mario 3D All-Stars. I know some people didn't really like this because Nintendo released this as like a limited time thing, and then they took it down and stopped making it. But they made so many, I doubt this will ever be like really truly a rare game. I don't know. But it is Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy all in one cartridge. And I just had to pick it up because this is like the first time you'd be able to play Galaxy and Sunshine on something other than their respective consoles. Why they didn't add Galaxy 2, I'll never know. I didn't really care because I like Galaxy 1 more than 2 anyways. But this was a really good collection, and I feel like the $60 price was fine for 3 games, which, if you try to buy them individually, are going to equal about the same price, if not more, depending on what condition they're in. I did find this interesting. So my first, just a little side story, my first 2 games I ever got for the Nintendo GameCube were Metroid Prime and Super Mario Sunshine. And the GameCube was my favorite console up until recently. I'll get into that a little bit later. But it was really interesting. I noticed while I was doing this video that the first 2 games I ever got for the GameCube are also on the Switch. So that's just fun. Super Mario Maker 2. It expanded on everything everybody wanted them to do for Mario Maker 1, and just added on top of that, there's a story mode now. And yeah, you've got a whole bunch of different art styles you can choose from. You can even use the Super Mario 3D World art style as well, which I thought that was cool. And I'm not really big into making my own levels, but the story mode was fun, and I got enough just out of that. Plus, you can like go online and download other people's levels and play them and test them out and have fun there. Super Mario Odyssey. It's the best Super Mario 3D platformer. I don't care what anybody else says. This is the best for me. It's really tight on controls, gameplay. Love the platforming. Love the levels. I know some people didn't like how easy some of the moon sprites were to get. I didn't mind because there was others where I died quite a little bit just trying to get those. So to get 100% to get I think there's 999 moon sprites, It's not just a little walk in the park. There is some learning curves you got to get around. You got to really master these controls, and there's even some that I had to look up some how-tos to kind of do some not like I didn't have to put any codes in, but I did do some little tricks of the game to get them. So yeah. Super Mario Party. So this, as I said earlier, I actually enjoy this version better than Mario Party Superstars, mainly for two reasons. One, you can have one other person be on your team. So like when me and my wife are playing, we can be on the same team, not have to be versus each other. So we can work as a team. And then I like the buddy system where throughout the boards you'll have other little characters to play as. The games are really fun because there's a lot more motion control going on with them. And this was like, I think this came out like year 2 of the Switch, so they were still using like the HD rumble effects, so that was really fun to play with some of these games. Overall, better experience in my opinion. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So I've never really been a big Smash Bros. Person. I liked Brawl because of the story mode. I liked Melee because of the story mode. I skipped the Wii U and the 3DS one because there really wasn't a story mode. And I got excited because I saw there was a story mode for this game, but it's kind of bare bones-ish. It's still a story mode, but whereas that one was like a 2D platformer, you going around fighting enemies, this is just there's a large map, but then you're just fighting other characters again and again, just like playing regular Smash Brothers. So it was okay, but this is probably the best Smash Brothers game to get, depending on what characters you want to play as, because they added a whole bunch of characters there. Yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga Collection. So I got this just because I've never played the arcade versions, and I wanted to play them. But then on top of that, it included Game Boy games and NES, SNES, Sega Genesis games. So I got to play some of the older games as well. But I don't have like nostalgic for any of those games. So outside of the arcade games, I really didn't play around with it much. But overall, a really fun collection, especially if you are nostalgic for any of those games. I would definitely get this collection. They really did put, this is Digital Eclipse, so they did this, and they did the Atari 50 game collection. So they really put a lot of love and effort into these collection games, and I can't wait to see what next one they're working on. I don't know what it is, but I can't wait to see it. So definitely recommend getting this one. Tracks Toy Box Edition. So this is not so much a game as just kind of a sandbox train app, I guess. Yeah, you go around making like your own wooden toy train set, and then you can put houses and people, and then you can ride the little train, and the controls are a little weird to get used to. The tutorial doesn't tell you everything, so I did kind of have to look up some stuff online to fully figure out what I was supposed to do. But after that, it was pretty fun. This is probably one, either you're going to get a couple hours out of it, or you're going to play this on end for hours and hours, depending on how much of a fan you are of toy wooden trains. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. This is a very funny, very interesting Legend of Zelda type of 2D top-down style action adventure game that it kind of revolves around the reason you're doing all this is because you need to pay back your taxes. And that's pretty much it. Unbox Snoopy's Adventure. I've already done a whole YouTube video. I'll put a link down in the description so you can check this out. But Basically, this is a very underrated 3D platformer, collectathon type of game, very reminiscent to games like Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64. So if you like those, definitely check this one out and check out my full review of the game, again, in the link below. Untitled Goose Game. This is I know this is a new genre that's kind of come up recently, cozy games. This is probably one of the coziest, honestly. It's an adventure puzzle game where you play as a goose and you go around doing what a goose does, which is being a dick to people, and you do it in the cutest way possible. Vaporum Steampunk Dungeon Crawler. So this is a very cool steampunk style, old school style dungeon crawling game where it kind of feels at times kind of like BioShock, just in the story and the way the creatures are, and the way the art style is. So if any of that seems interesting, definitely pick this one up. You can get it digitally. The physical version, I've seen it go for $30 to $40. I've seen it go for $90 to like $150. So it's really going to be kind of a hit or miss on what the price point is for this game. Wargroove. So, next month we're going to get Advance Wars, but if you can't wait until next month to play Advance Wars style game, definitely pick up Wargroove, because it's exactly that, but in a fantasy setting. And it also, if you like, the older school version of the Fire Emblem games, especially the Game Boy Advance and DS games, this is a game for you. It's got that same art style, same gameplay, and just overall, it's just a charming game. It's got story mode. It's got you can build your own maps. It's got all this. You can play online, and then you've got mission mode as well. So pick your poison. The Wild at Heart. So before Pikmin 4 got announced, but after Pikmin 3 got released, this was basically what scratched the itch for me in regards to Pikmin. It's a 2D style game, so it's not fully 3D, but it still is that same gameplay style where you got the little creatures, you go around the map. Each creature has different ability, and you can use all the little creatures to attack monsters that are in the world. And it's got a really, really loving story as well. I won't go into the story, but it is a very charming story for this type of game. Yomawari, The Long Night Collection, and Yomawari Lost in the Dark. So I'm kind of cheating here. I'm showing gameplay of just the third one because they all look the same gameplay and art style. Like the third one looks the same as the first and the second one. I believe the first and second one, I believe the first two were PlayStation Vita games, and then the third one I think got released on PlayStation 4 and Switch. So yeah, they're basically just these little 2D, 2.5D, I guess. I don't even know what genre I know they're horror, but I don't know what they're not walking simulators. You do have to, I guess they're kind of like puzzle adventure games. They're really creepy. If you notice, there's one that's like rated M, the other two are rated T. I feel like they probably should be rated M, just for story wise. They get really mentally dark. So just a warning for anybody that's if you're not in the right headspace, you will not enjoy these games, and I would definitely skim them. But if you're in the horror mood, you're okay for some depressing story or depressing stories, then I would definitely check these out. Yooka-Laylee. Alright, so this was made by the same people that made Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, and this is just the perfect platformer for that type of game. It's not Mario Odyssey perfect, but it's definitely perfect as in the collectathon type of style game. I don't know what better way to explain it. But yeah, if you like Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie, get Yooka-Laylee, because this is by the same people. They're not by the Rare is not the same Rare that is today. It's all those people left and they made their own company and they made this game, and this is basically Banjo 3 but with a different color paint on it. And then they made a sequel. And if Yooka-Laylee was their Banjo-Kazooie, then Yooka-Laylee in the Impossible Lair is their Donkey Kong Country. Because it's there is a bit of overworld that's like a top-down style game, but the vast majority of the game is side-scrolling, and it is side-scrolling to a T. So if you like the Donkey Kong Country series, or if you like the newer ones, Donkey Kong Country Tropic Freeze and Donkey Kong Country Returns, definitely get the Impossible Lair, because it's just like those. And we've come to the last game, Yoshi's Crafted World. I really liked this game. This was a cute 2.5D platformer. Again, just like Kirby Allies, when this game came out, there was a lot of, I guess, I don't know, not bad reviews, but just people kind of downplaying the game. And I thought it was really fun. So I have no clue what they're talking about. You can play the levels one way, and then you can go back and play them a different way. You can go back into them and kind of do like hide and seek type of style, find the hidden object stuff, and it's a long game. Like there is, like you finish the story and then you finish the story like 3 more times. Yeah, and so that is my 100 Switch games to date that I have. Going a bit into the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is now on it's 6 years old, going into its 7th year. There's rumors of there's been rumors since day one, but they're consistently getting stronger that there's a new Nintendo Switch or a successor around the corner. I don't know how close or how far that is, but I have been having the time of my life with this console. I got this as a wedding gift from my wife back in 2018. So the Switch was already a year old at that point, and I already had a pretty decent library. But at that time, if you had told me, years and years later, that not only would this become my favorite console of all time, but that all of these games would be coming out for it, on top of other ones that I haven't even bought yet. And ones that have just gotten announced because we just had a direct last month, I would have thought you were crazy because for the longest time, GameCube was my favorite console. It had it just ticked all the right boxes for me in regards to games that got released to it, different variations of genres. Nintendo was kind of just on all cylinders when it came to releases, and we didn't see that again until now. Like there was a good bit of Nintendo properties that did not get the love on the Wii, that didn't get the love on the DS, the 3DS, and especially the Wii U. Yeah, anytime somebody asked what was your favorite console, I always went back to the GameCube. Until now, until recently, until probably, I want to say, probably around 2020 is when I was like, hey, this has outperformed the GameCube. Not, of course, only in sales, which I don't count. That's not how I decide on my favorite console. But as far as games getting released, I think it was like between Pikmin 3 Deluxe, new Pokemon Snap, and then later on Metroid Dread. When those 3 games got announced and released, I was like, okay, yeah, this definitely now, tops my other loves, which was the original Pikmin and Metroid Prime and the original Pokemon Snap. So, and then just recently, we got Metroid Prime Remastered. As I said before, that and Sunshine are now both on the Switch, and those were both my first two GameCube games. We've gotten Wario games. We're getting Advance Wars. We're getting another Pikmin. We're getting another Legend of Zelda game all this year, on top of everything else that's been released. And I know there's some fandoms that are like, well, we still haven't gotten an X game. I'm like, I know, and I can't say if it's ever going to come or not, but like from what we did, this we've gotten a good bit, like more than I can say for both the Wii and the previous the 3DS and the 2DS. And so yeah, where do we go from here? For me, at least, well, there's still, as of the record of this video, I've got like one game on pre-order. There's still like 50 games on my Amazon wish list, plus another 10 games that haven't gotten announced as a physical release yet, but I'm hoping they will, either through one way or another. And yeah, I know some people like digital, but I'm just a person that really likes physical games, so it's like really rare that I buy any sort of game for the Switch if it doesn't have a physical version of it. That's just me. Everybody's different though, so if you're digital only, that's fine. If you like to mix it up, where some games you'll get physical, some games you'll get digital, that's fine. For me, at least for the Switch, I try to get every single game, and I have gotten every single game physically. Outside of one, I've gotten Among Us digitally, and then like later on they got a physical version, so I'm like, well, okay. But other than that, everything else is physical. At least what I've purchased is physical. So will I get to 200 games? Maybe. I don't see the Switch, dying this year. I think we've probably still got I think we got this year and at least next year with the Switch, and then we'll probably get the successor either by end of next year or early 2025. So by then, I definitely think I'll be close to, or I'll at least have in my wish list, close to 200 games. So we might do this again. We might do a 200th Switch video eventually one day. But that is going to be it for me. This is the longest video I've done, and this is gonna be some fun editing. Tell you what. But in the comments down below, let me know what your thoughts are on a couple things. One, what are your thoughts on the Switch so far from what you've played? Not overall, just from what you have played. Two, if you are collecting games, how many have you gotten to? I know 100 to some is like a lot of games, but to others it's like nothing. I've seen people that have like got 3 to almost 1,000 games in their collection. So, but it's a big milestone for me. So let me know how many games that you've gotten in your collection. And then third and finally, let me know out of the ones I announced, not which one that you like, but which ones that I've listed that interested you. Which one that you either didn't know existed or didn't know existed physically, and after this video went and checked out a trailer, checked out a gameplay video of it. And then if you're coming back to this video, let me know which one you checked out and enjoyed. And of course, if you have, thoughts on any of the games that I've talked about, or you've seen some games that you think I don't have, let me know. I will say I do own Breath of the Wild. I own Breath of the Wild for the Wii U. I don't normally double dip that quickly, so I might eventually get Breath of the Wild again for the Switch, but I don't have any need to go and play it again, especially with us getting the sequel in just a couple months. I don't get into the Xenoblade series, so that's why that's not on here. And I don't get into the Warrior games, so like Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, all those warrior games, I don't get into those. But other than that, definitely recommend anything else. And yeah, we'll see. So until then, remember to like and subscribe. Check out my other videos. I know this video came in like the middle of a week, but I just wanted to get this out here as soon as I could because I just recently got to the 100. I was just so proud, so I had to share it with all you guys. And yeah, until next time, thank you and have a good day. Bye bye.